Hello.
Hello, everyone. Oh, you know what? Should I put books and jams on mine? I'm just going to leave it Krista, I guess. You guys know I'm books and jams.
You can edit it.
Yeah. Since this is on the MGM channel. How did you do yours?
You do it if you hit the
I want it to look like yours. Straight line.
Got it. Yeah, straight line and then. Yep.
Hello, everyone. If you're here, say hi.
Yeah.
There we go. If you're here, say hello. We're glad to have you for our first chat.
There, everybody is.
For our middle grade March book club. I'm so excited. We're getting this.
I'm so glad people showed up.
Yay! I know.
So exciting.
Hello, Pauline and Jill and Katie.
Hello.
There's Katie.
I'm here.
Yay.
I was just asking Krista if you were coming tonight.
I was like, I have no idea.
It has been a crazy, crazy day for me. I meant all day to like hop on our chat and be like, I'm so excited for tonight. And then, I'm frozen. But then I could not find the time. I was at the doctor for most of the afternoon with both of my kids.
Oh man.
I mean, they're fine. It was just a checkup, but like it was talking about all of the things because I've been putting off their well checks. So it was like I had like 5
laundry lists.
Yeah, so laundry list to talk to the doctor about with them. So
I
anyway,
know what that feels like.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've been planning on coming all day, but I didn't have a chance to hop on our
okay.
and be like, I'm coming.
That's okay. You showed up. That's the important part.
You're here. That's right. I'm so excited to talk about this book with everyone, The Ogress and The Orphans. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. I'm eager to see how you all thought of it, if you read it.
I'm so interested to see what everybody thinks.
Sharon already says I haven't read it, but I'm looking forward to listening to the discussion.
It'll be a discussion.
That's right. Sure. And we probably will get spoilery, and once we start spoilery, it'll be spoiler the rest of the time. But we can start off, and we'll just give everybody another minute or two to show up.
Why don't we talk about what we're currently reading?
Sure.
Kick it off. You want to go first, Krista?
Sure. I just today, because I'm like desperately trying to finish I was desperately trying to finish 2 of my May reads, and I did finish 1. So today I just finished Unwritten by Charles Martin. It was okay.
Okay, you gave me that for Christmas book exchange. Should I read it?
It's a little on the slow side. But
have you read any other Charles Martin books?
Yes, and I loved it.
Okay.
So I'm definitely going to read. And people who love him say they gave this one 3 stars and everything else 4 or 5. Okay. So this tends to be not everybody's favorite. So maybe don't read this one by him, but read something else by him.
Okay. He's been on my list for a really long time because people tell me that I'll love him because his books remind them of Peace Like a River, which as you know, is one of my favorites.
I definitely once it really deals a lot with forgiveness, which I love.
Yeah.
And these 2 people who want to escape their life and in different ways do in a sense, and how the broken parts of their life help the other person feel whole again. Like find the wholeness within them, whatever. It really was lovely still, but it was a little on the slow side.
Yeah.
And then I have one more Read Like Tiffany book that I did not finish in May, so it'll be my first June book, and I can't share it because it's secret. So I'm like this far. I've only read this little tiny bit. I have a lot to go, but it is a middle grade. I'll give you that as a clue. So it should be pretty quick, but I cannot get it on audio. It's not available on audio. I even was going to use
the worst. I hate when books aren't
use a
available
Libro
on audio.
credit. I was going to use an actual credit and buy it. It's not available. So that was frustrating. But that's what I'm still going to start my day with tomorrow. But other than that, I finished all my other reads. How about you, Amanda?
I am currently reading, it's back here, Love and Saffron.
Oh, fun.
Which is a currently reading, made me read it. Katie from Currently Reading. It's like 1960s epistolary about food. It's very good. It's very short.
That sounds super up my alley.
Yeah.
So I'm reading that. I have been listening en masse to like rom-coms.
When I drove this weekend, I listened to 3 Sarah Adams books.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I finished one yesterday. Actually, I texted you about it. That
I know, I got it last night. I will listen to
Krista. It's called By Any Other Name. It was on somebody's like summer book list or something, and so I put it on hold at my library right away, and it came in really quick. And it was so good. Clean romance.
Love it.
So good. Definitely in my top ones that I've read this year.
Nice. Katie, what are you reading right now?
I'm reading Project Hail Mary, which I've been reading all month. Because that's my reading life right now.
Yep.
Me all month, but I'm absolutely loving it so much. I
love Project Hail Mary
because it's just amazing. It's so good. I'm also still finishing up my nonfiction because I usually have a nonfiction, The Righteous Mind: Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion by Jonathan Haidt. Which is also amazing, but it's taking me forever because I don't really want to pick up nonfiction right now, and it's like something I really have to chew on. And then I'm also sort of reading. Oh my goodness, I think it's Truly Devious. Yeah, Truly Devious, which I'm not very far in. I'm only 50 pages into it. So those are the books I'm reading. Have either of you read this series?
No.
Oh, really? Krista, I thought you'd read it.
I haven't. I have the first one. I just haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
It has a good following. I know that.
I know. I'm really enjoying it so far. I mean, for a mystery that's not an adult mystery, it's good.
Nice. I just recommended Project Hail Mary to my brother that I saw over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Not my brother who lives with me, but another brother. He said he's been reading a lot of nonfiction, business, and self-helpy type stuff, but he's like, I need something totally different and fun. I'm like, oh man, try Andy Weir, read The Martian and Project Hail Mary, because there's a good mix of humor, but you keep the pages turning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those crossover books. It's science fiction, and it is science heavy.
Who don't like science fiction will definitely like it.
Exactly. It's so readable, and because it's so funny, and the characters are really likable, and
I think he'll like it. He might like The Martian better, but I don't know. We'll see.
I can't decide. So I haven't finished Project Hail Mary, but I can't decide between the two which one I like better.
I like The Martian better.
You like The Martian
but The Martian is also in my top 5 books of all time.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
So I
striking a
love
chord with me
The Martian so much.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because what part of the reason that I think I didn't like Project Hail Mary as much was because of the way it ended. So I'm very curious as to what your feelings are going to be about the end of that book.
I'll have to, because I'm not even going to say. I'm curious to know how it ends too.
Yeah.
I know Andy Weir is he describes himself as an optimist. So
yeah,
I'm hoping that it's not a really sad ending. But
it'll be interesting to see what you think. I definitely didn't expect it. I'll say that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel
let's get going.
People time to get here. There's 50 people here. Welcome, 51 of you.
Woohoo!
You're joining us to talk about the Ogress and the Orphans. And I'm so sad that you could tell, I read up until chapter here, 50 pages on print, and then I switched to the audio. So there are 0 tabs and 0 notes. Oh, but I got it.
You got to do what you got to do.
I had a long drive, and I did not get as much reading time at my mom's as I was hoping. But anyways, let's just first tell what did you rate this? General kind of thoughts. You guys can, of course, in the comments, please share your thoughts as well. Just like in general, did you like it? Did you not like it? You loved it? You hated it? You didn't finish it? Kind of general reaction to the book, and what did you end up rating it? Go ahead, Amanda.
Okay, so as nobody here is surprised that I did not love this book. It was not a favorite. And the longer I sit on it, the lower my rating gets. So right now I'm sitting at a 2.5.
Oh my goodness! Like really, this is
like
this
I really didn't like
Amanda,
it
because this is not necessarily the way you talked about it after you'd first finished it.
Right, and that's why I'm saying like the longer I sit on it, the lower my rating gets. Because as soon as I finished it, I was like 3.5, maybe a 4, and now I'm like, whoosh.
Gotcha.
I really need to know why that's changed, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. We'll get into it. Okay, what else did you want me to say?
That's it.
Okay,
just
sorry.
Kind of your general reaction and your rating. Katie, how about you?
So I just looked on Goodreads. So I read this last year, and I rated it 5 stars. Looking back on it, I don't think it's a 5-star for me because it hasn't sat with me. Like I still like. If I put this book up next to The Girl Who Drank the Moon, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, like, blows it out of the water. So like in that way, I'm like, this doesn't deserve a 5-star. If I say like it is not a favorite like The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I really liked it. And I still would probably give it like 4 stars because I really liked it. But Girl Who Drank the Moon is way better in my mind. But like this was warm. Like I left feeling like warm. Gave me some good feelings. I loved the ogress. We can get into some more of the stuff, but not a 5-star. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and change my Goodreads rating because it doesn't need to live at 5 stars forever.
Yeah, I need to go in and change mine too.
I also enjoyed it. And I gave it 4 stars. It was definitely not a 5-star for me either. And the main reason is pacing. Like it felt very slow at certain times. I didn't mind while reading it because I really enjoyed. Like I see some people who had DNF'd it and stuff, and I totally understand because it didn't have like a plot that kept you going. I really liked the writing, and I really liked the ogress. And the orphans, and I thought there was a lot of really special moments. So I didn't mind a lot that it was slow, like I sometimes do. I wasn't dragging while reading it. I wasn't dreading picking it up. So it still gets 4 stars. But if it had been a little bit more action, like paced a little better, it would probably be a 5 stars. But yeah, it was a little.
It was I don't feel like it was a heavily plotted book. It felt a lot of ways it felt more like a fable than like
Hey, guess what? That's one of our talking points later.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was part of my issue with it is like nothing happened. Like from the first chapter, you knew exactly what was going to end. There was no anticipation, like building up to that ending. Everything was exactly as you suspected it was going to be, like, and it was so flipping long for what it was. This book could have been 50 pages long and had the same exact effect.
Yeah, it's almost 400 pages.
Yeah, it could have been 50. It could have been a 1-hour audio short story and had the exact same effect as it did at 400 pages.
Yeah. Huh.
I just want to see a couple people. Again, guys, I probably won't have time to go through every single comment and put it on screen, but we're all kind of looking at them, so we're seeing it. And feel free to respond to each other as well. Pauline liked the little tidbits of wisdom. A couple of DNFs. Felt like kind of like a classic fairy tale. Adorable 5 stars. But because of how cozy, when she finished it. Jacqueline doesn't think Kelly's for her. Didn't like either one.
Who said that it felt cozy?
MK reads.
Okay.
How cozy it was for me. Yep. Not fair to compare books. It's true, but like that's kind of what we do as readers, right? We're all a little bit subjective in that way. Like it depends.
Especially when we're talking about like an author's like an author's catalog of books. You know, it's so easy to.
And these are both fantasy. There's similarities. They both are talking about.
The writing was very similar. Like the not the pacing of the book in general, but like sentence to sentence.
Yeah.
The writing was very, like, she has a very clear voice.
Yeah,
Kelly Barnhill does. Like I could definitely tell I was reading the same author, reading Girl Who Drank the Moon and this one. I didn't like either one of them, but I could tell I was reading the same author.
This is funny because the crows kind of got on my nerves every once in a while too. That's funny. I thought the crow parts were dragged out. Never underestimate the wisdom of a child, Susan says. Love that. Third of the way through and not enjoying it. We'll see, Terry. We'll see. Yeah, so we'll get to maybe we could start with the fable versus fairy tale because we've had a couple people describe it as feeling like a fairy tale, and others have said they felt like it was more of a fable. And so the difference, I actually looked it up because I'm like, well, what is the difference? Because there's a lot of similarities for sure between a fable and a fairy tale. But a fable's point is to put a message out there, and a fairy tale's point is to entertain you. It might have a message in there, but it's more for entertainment. And a fable will have some entertainment, but it's the message that it's trying to get across. So do you think Ogress and the Orphans was more of a fable or a fairy tale or a good blend of them? What do you guys think?
Fable, hands down.
Fable, 100%.
Like the social agenda in this book was so heavy-handed, and that was one of my issues with it because
it was very.
Felt like it bordered on the line of political.
Yeah.
Like, it was a social agenda, but there was also a political agenda, and I, as a reader, I don't appreciate that from either side. Like, I do not want to. Like, and for me, the tipping point, and this is gonna we don't really have to get into this, but the tipping point for me was when they were like, let's make our town great again. I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I cannot. Like, that was not necessary. And like I said, I'm not pro or conning either side. I don't like it from either side.
Right.
So I don't want anybody to assume like whatever. I don't like that in my reading, and especially not in a middle grade fairy tale. Are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I was so frustrated with that.
It was very overt. Very overt.
Yeah. I missed when I was reading it. Someone else said they missed the politics. I definitely picked up on the message. Like, she is not holding back at all on what she is trying to say here. I did miss some of the overt, like the red signs with the white writing, make our town great again. Like, I mean, a little bit I picked up on it, but as I was reading some of the low reviews today, I'm like, that feels a little icky. No matter where you stand, like, I agree, like a middle grade novel is maybe not the point. But if you read it to kids, the parents will pick up on that. But I think the kids will not pick up on some of that.
They won't pick up on some of it, but they will pick up on other parts of it. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
And it was not necessary.
That aspect wasn't, but I did like the message of, like, the overall message of the book.
Like neighborhood and like being a neighbor and taking care of community, and like I enjoyed that. I just felt like it was too pointed.
Yeah. I definitely loved the whole "who's your neighbor," and it made me think of, Bible stories like the Good Samaritan. The whole point of that story is, like, who is your neighbor and who should be caring for the neighbors. And that's what it made me think of. And I did like that. And the whole idea of the more you give, the more you have. And like the opposite of, the contrast between greed and generosity. How the Ogress was so giving and constantly looking for the best in people. And in the mayor / dragon was very greedy, and that contrast I thought was a good, important lesson.
And I will say this, like, even though I don't really like political agendas being pushed in especially kids' books, but any of my books really, I will say that the whole, like, how she illustrated how the mayor made the community, like, disagree, like, divided them. I was like, because that's exactly what our politicians do to us. Like, I thought it was a very relatable way for kids to see, like, this is what is happening, and really you guys got to talk to each other and not just get the news that's feeded to you. So I do see the benefit of things like that. I just felt like it was too much in this one.
I loved to, I mean, we can start talking about the Ogress. She's the first word in the title, the Ogress. So we can start with her as we go through some of the characters that stand out to us. But obviously the Ogress is a huge part of this story. And one of the things I loved is that as she watched the town all the time, she noticed, like, she always just noticed that one of them created birdhouses out of the, like, just the little things she noticed that were good in people, instead of focusing on the things she could have noticed that were negative, which was probably a lot. She was noticing that someone was fixing the road. She was noticing that someone was using the scraps and building it and making these beautiful birdhouses. She was noticing all of these little nuggets of, oh, you're the one who sings in your backyard, and the animal, like, oh, you're, like, as she was meeting people towards the end, she's like, oh, I know you're the one, and then saying something positive about them. And I just loved that, because we all have that choice of what we're gonna focus on and what we're gonna allow our perspective to be. And again, the opposite of the mayor focusing on the negative and quickly trying to pollute people's minds about each other. And so this discord, she was like looking for, even though she was still on the outskirts, she was still looking for the positive, which I loved, and finding it, because there's not all good or evil. Like, there is a mixture in all of us, and what are we gonna focus on? I love
that. I agree. Here.
I knew right off the bat, I mean, on the first page, when it describes the Ogress, I'm like, I want to be her friend. That's what I wrote on my note. I'm like, I want to be her friend. She lived in a crooked house. She enjoyed baking and gardening and counting the stars. She was quite tall. I'm like, I love it. I'm tall too.
She's beautiful.
Yeah, just the way it was described was so unique. And I mean, huge. Yeah, it's just such a good description. She spoke little and thought much. She was careful and considerate. Her heavy feet trod lightly on the ground. I love it.
I will say Kelly Barnhill is a very lyrical writer.
Oh, her writing, it just gets me every time. I love her writing. I know we've moved on from this and are talking about another question, but just to, like, drive home the point that it's a fable, she quotes Aesop at the very beginning.
Yeah.
No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted.
Nice.
Aesop, like from Aesop's fables. So, yeah.
That's true.
Is that where Aesop's from? I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aesop's fables.
I'm just screwing with you.
You're messing with me?
I'm just screwing with you. You're like, yeah, that's where Aesop's from.
Of course.
Yeah, this is true.
I taught you something new today, Amanda. That's with you. I love you, Katie. You're so gullible.
And he says she sees it as a combo. The fantasy was like a fairy tale, but it had a message like a fable. The message was beautiful, but the story could have been shorter. Same. Agree.
Like, seriously, like 100, at least 100 pages, if not 200 pages shorter. It was just too long.
Vibes with some things. I love it.
I mean, Mr. Rogers vibes is always a good thing.
Is always a good thing. Isn't always the best way of helping. However, when she stopped, it caused people like it stirred
to see the void.
It was
of what she was doing.
Catalyst for, and I said, Renita also said she even saw the good in the mayor, which is true. She just was overly positive. What other things about the Ogress do you guys want to chat about? I mean, Ogresses live a long time, and she's lived a long life.
She's so patient.
Found her way here to Stonehenge.
How long she stayed in the house before she finally, how long the process was. And then you find out at the end that it was where she grew up. Like, the town was where she grew up. Oh, my goodness.
Wait, it was?
Yeah.
I missed
the ogres at the end. The stone. Am I making this up? Maybe I'm making this up. Hold on. Let me grab my book.
It was? Because her town burned.
Yeah, but the rock was from her town. The stone that was under the I can't find my book now.
I somehow missed that.
I don't remember because it's been too long. The story, Jennifer says the story on the stone was hers.
Yeah.
Oh. But I didn't, I don't know. I didn't interpret that as that was her town.
Yeah, that was because she's like, you could have asked me. And she's like, well, or you could have talked to me. And she's like, well, you never asked. Okay, I can't find my book anywhere, guys. Oh, I know where it is. Hold on. I'll be right back.
It's okay. Did you guys pick up on that in the comments?
It's just been too long since I've read it.
The story carried the story of everyone in the story. The stone carried the story of everyone in the story. But it was always in the same place. History repeats itself, kind of. Yeah. The story on the stone was hers.
Okay, is it in chapter 45?
She was there first. Huh. I guess I didn't. I did pick up on confusing timeline.
Yes.
How often or how long she had been providing food for people, and yet in the orphanage they were not growing up. So I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know. The timeline of things was a little confusing. But then that whole conversation at the end of time
was upstairs. I'm on a live.
It was supposed to be.
Dad's upstairs. You can ask him.
Not confusing, but.
Okay, I'm gonna find this because I swear I did not make this up.
Yeah, and they made a point to say the town was just one story, and the town will continue in the future. Huh. I'm not sure. The place existed before the story ever started. And the story ends in a place and time that is convenient for the village, but the place persists. I don't know.
Because she sits down and touches the rock and talks to the rock.
Yeah.
She put up. Oh, here. Hello, stone. She said, hello, ogress. You could have said something, I didn't answer right away. Time works differently for stones and ogres, but I will admit it. I was lonely. It was nice to have someone to talk to. You could have stopped by before today and said hello. I said more petulantly than I should have. I mean, I can't exactly come to you. This wasn't exactly true. No one knew how deep the stone went or how wide. I did, obviously, but it's nice keeping some things to myself. We remained just so for a good long while, telling each other stories.
Time expands and contracts into squishy.
Is
that said in the book?
With her. Okay, maybe I made it up.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't catch that, but
Real place filled with real people.
that's okay. Oh, about the timeline. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the timeline was weird.
But I think that was on purpose. Kind of showing this point that it all is going to repeat. It's just, yeah. Anyways, let's talk we'll talk about what happened to the Ogress and the town people and when we get to them. But the orphans, I did not pick up right away on their ABC names until a little bit into the book. I think we were on a reading sprint and someone else mentioned it. And I'm like, oh my word, I didn't even notice that they start with A, with the oldest, and go right down through the alphabet. I would have picked up on it eventually, but did you have one? Because each of the orphans had a special thing about them that they were either really good at or something that set them apart. Did you have one orphan that you connected with more than the others, or
I liked? Wasn't it the B one that ran away? She was my favorite.
Cass, C.
She was my favorite.
Yeah,
I loved when she ran away. Like the whole reason behind it. Yeah.
That was really special. Yeah. Because she didn't want the I forget the A's name. She didn't want the oldest to have to leave.
Althea? Is it Althea? Something like that?
And she wanted everyone else to have enough food. It was just so beautiful. I loved her too because she's also the one that like sucker kicked the butcher at the marketplace.
Yeah, she did.
Mm-hmm.
She was feisty. She loved her family. And someone mentioned it earlier that they loved how this orphanage was portrayed as a family and that it was a kind place. It was a loving place. And they really were like a family in the midst of this town where everything's falling apart and people are so filled with hatred and dissension and like isolating themselves. Here we have this bright little spot of this orphanage where they love each other, they sacrifice for each other, they support each other, they understand each other. Yeah. And I think that speaks to Matron and Myron. Myron? I forget.
Myron.
Myron, the ones who run it. And I loved this is not about the orphans, but the butterfly that he gave her when they were first dating or first married that had a slice of his heart and it flapped its wings according to his heartbeat.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that was so sweet. That was so sweet.
Beautiful. It was such a beautiful picture. And then towards the end, as he's getting older and it's flapping at like irregular beats and stuff, just was like, is this book gonna make me cry here? Not cry in this book, but I thought that was one of the most beautiful pictures of love. I just thought that was so cool. But back to the orphans, I liked Elijah too and his stories, how he heard them in the inanimate objects around him, like in the beams and in the fireplace mantle, and picked and chose. And I loved that his stories were matching what was going on with the ogress. He didn't really realize that, but like the blind dog and the sheep finding a place to call home, and all these stories he was telling were actually happening. I thought that was cool. Yeah, stories within a story. I thought that was cool. I thought so too. I'm so glad that's not where we ended this book. that would have been sad. But I could relate to Althea with her like oldest child, taking care of everyone else, but also needing time alone, and how she like organized the reading room or something on her to-do list.
Oh my goodness. So she could have time in there by herself.
Hide away and by herself in the library. I loved that. I'm like, girl, you are a sister from my heart. I loved it. Yeah. kept forgetting it was an orphanage and not a regular family. It felt like a family being raised by their grandparents. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really did.
Oh, you wondered if he was how long did it take everyone to
A long time.
realize who the narrator was?
Like 2 chapters.
Hey, Jenna.
Really?
Really?
Oh my goodness.
I only knew because you said it in the reading sprint.
Oh, in our reading sprints?
I did not know at that point who the narrator was.
I didn't. At that point, it wasn't confirmed. I was just suspecting that it was. Somebody in the comments said I suspect it, and I was like, that's who I think it is too. But...
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it would have taken me longer, though, if you guys hadn't planted that seed, because I was not at all thinking who it was yet, I guess. I was just...
As soon as they were like, there's a stone under a box, and nobody ever talks to it, and I was like, it's the narrator. That's all it is.
But also, how long did it take you to figure out the true nature of the mayor?
1 chapter, the mayor chapter.
When
he was like, he killed all the dragons. I was like, that's not suspicious at all.
I mean, I was suspicious of him, but I didn't realize.
Same.
Like,
no, I for sure knew. I was like, no, he's a dragon. Like 100% he's a dragon. I saw that clear as day.
I think I just get so sucked up into the story that I don't think about things like that.
That's same. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't think I was trying to figure out who the narrator was. Well, was I trying to figure out who the narrator was? I distinctly remember, though, I wasn't thinking that the mayor had some sort of hidden identity. Yeah. I was reading it very, very straight.
And I thought there was, like, obviously some kind of magic involved.
Right.
But it didn't go as far as, listen, spoilers are from here on out. So if you're still intending to read this book and you don't want to be spoiled, we've already spoiled a couple things. So just know from here on out, we're just going to talk openly because I don't want to not talk openly, that the mayor was a dragon. But I was not going down that road in my mind at all.
Well, see, as soon as they were like, the mayor came and then all the dragons went away, I was like, so like they didn't even try to attack anymore? That makes no sense.
Well, they were never attacking in the first place. He was just...
Well, like, but the town, like he was pretending, you know what I mean? It just didn't make any sense.
The writing about, I agree. It did get a little repetitive about the mayor being the dragon, but.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was about here or around, I don't know.
That's the same.
That I'm like, oh. It might have been a little bit before that, but it was pretty
same. Same. That's my memory. Is it was somewhere around there.
I love you guys are like right away as soon as they mentioned it. I pegged them early on.
Makes me feel so slow.
Oh, interesting. Sylvia thought at first that time was the narrator. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thought because there was a lot of conversation about time.
Yeah.
Throughout. I thought the stone or the library. Oh yeah. That's another theme that's in this book. I'm a little scatterbrained. I see it. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. The whole importance of stories and how like the catalyst for the town falling apart was when the library burned, and then the catalyst for it kind of coming back together was when they started passing out stories, working with the Ogress and passing out stories. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the importance of, I don't know, that's how we learn empathy and we see people outside of our own circles and learn about other cultures and people and perspectives. I mean, it is so important. That's why we read in a lot of ways. Like we may mainly read for entertainment, but that's an added benefit that we get if we're just reading for entertainment, that we can still have windows to the past, have windows to the present,
to other experiences besides our own.
And I think that the town was missing that because the mayor had made everybody isolate so much.
That
they were not getting that perspective of other people and their stories and their life. Don't feel slow. I missed the ABCs at first. Unless somebody told me, I'm not sure. I would have picked up on it right away. Denise thinks it was on purpose for us to get tired of the mayor.
It works.
That's interesting. That's probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not supposed to like the mayor at all.
Right. Yeah, I think, obviously, by the time they were talking about the dragons putting on skins, at that point, we all knew. Do all of the books have a character with a secret identity? I don't know.
I haven't read I've only read this one and The Girl Who Drank the Moon.
Yeah. I have the Witch's Boy.
Witch Boy.
I do too.
I'm looking forward to that at some point. I loved the reading room and how it rearranged itself and allowed you to find just what you were looking for, and how multiple times different people talked about finding, we read about that in the book in the reading room. Oh yeah, we learned about that. The orphans, learned about different things because of books that they saw in the reading room that ended up helping them later. I loved that. And I loved how the reading room kind of became the new library by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's cool. As people started coming in, 2 chapters start with listen. Who listens to stones? Yeah, the stone did say listen quite a bit, I thought. Listen. Yeah, Jenna.
We agree with that.
You are not alone.
Yep.
I want to read it. I'm in my reading room. I'm like, I want a reading room. Wait, I have. Damn it.
Yours just isn't as magical as theirs, huh?
Not magical in that way, but yeah, the shelves don't rearrange themselves and organize themselves. But that's okay. I can put it on my to-do list. It is on my to-do list quite often. Finish this book. I love it. I made a note in the margin that the book in the library that told the truth was like the Bible, and the mayor spreading distrust. Yep. Is Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, he would make. He can play a good slimy character.
Yeah. I have to look people up. I don't know most people by looking at their names.
Kenneth Branagh. You would know who he is.
For sure, if I saw his face, I would have to.
He played in the Harry Potter movies. He played
Snake.
Lockhart.
No, he's not Snake.
Lockhart.
Oh, Gilderoy Lockhart. Got it.
Gotcha.
Which is a very similar kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I almost made a whole banner about the butcher because I just liked the butcher's character. I did make a banner about the butcher. Let's talk about the butcher since someone else brought it up. Why was the butcher so angry?
A trip.
I thought the butcher was such a great picture of a complex character, though, because he was mean-spirited at times, like telling Althea, tick-tock, tick-tock, you're going to have to move out. Sorry about your luck. And
yeah, nothing ever even came of that. That was weird.
To a kid, nothing came of it because it was just him being
dumb,
a stinker. But then being part of the crew that went out to the Ogress's home and harassing and destroying the garden and throwing rocks, and then ultimately he threw the lantern into the barn. But as soon as she said, "There's the lambs, the sheep," he was like, "What?" And he ran into the fire that he just started to help rescue the sheep. And then it talked about later him fixing up some potholes in the road, like on his own because it wasn't getting done, so he just decided to do it. I don't know. I just thought he was an interesting. Oh, and when he saw the ogress, that whole conversation in his mind about, I'm going to go get her. Here's my cleaver. No, hang it back up. I'll just watch. Oh, no, I'm going to go get her. No. He was a coward. He didn't have.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to go rescue the girl that he thought was being kidnapped. And then and then he's the one that kind of stirred the pot, getting everybody worked up about the ogress.
Yep.
Because of what he saw. But I just thought he was an interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hated that he said, like, oh, sorry, I burned your barn. And still went back and said, I think she learned her lesson. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Butcher, yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad man, but not a good man either. And I think that's what,
yeah,
a lot of this is kind of, that's one of the themes, I guess, of this book is like, there's other extenuating circumstances sometimes. Like, we're not all good or all bad.
Mm-hmm. Morally complex.
Morally complex, but he was a hot mess. He was a hot mess, but I thought he was fun. Well, we got to see him, and we got to see a little bit more of like the cobbler and his wife, and I thought the cobbler's wife fit that same mold because initially she kind of was drinking the Kool-Aid and talking bad about the orphans, and the cobbler looked at her like, what are you even saying right now? Because the cobbler, I felt like, leaned more on the good side, even though they're still like, we're gonna go tell the mayor and he'll help us figure it out. But the cobbler's wife, but then as soon as she went into the orphanage and saw, she immediately was like, oh no, this is not acceptable. And she like raised the troops to fix it all up. Help and provided food, and I love that she ended up being the next mayor because that fit so well. I love that.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it was interesting to see a good man who was still kind but was under the spell still of the dragon. Yeah, the cover is gorgeous. Definitely. I know the butcher did get all. Oh no, where did hadn't put the idea in Anthea's head about having to leave. And Cass, and wasn't it the butcher that Cass like flying kicked? Was it the butcher that she kicked at the market, or was it someone else? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Oh, see, I think the cobbler's wife started the bandwagon to help.
That's what I got too. She was the one that was like initiated it and wasn't taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
She just kept showing up.
Yep. And then also sharing with her, and then that sparked her sharing with other people. Like she'd make enough food to share with her neighbors, and that kind of spread from there. I loved that. I'm trying to think if there were any other themes that we haven't talked about. Obviously, story, kindness, generosity.
What does it mean to be a good neighbor?
Oh yeah, obviously the good neighbor part.
I felt like there were good messages. It was just too heavy-handed.
Yeah, I don't know that I see kids enjoying this book.
I don't.
I think that some could.
I mean, kids also have a range of like reading tastes too.
Yeah.
I loved a slow novel when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it has carried over into my adult life. In some ways, I enjoyed I think about some books that I loved when I was a kid that I've reread as an adult, and I was like, wow, something about it really captured my imagination when I was a kid in ways that don't as an adult. Like I reread the Laura Ingalls Wilder books a few years ago, and are they lovely? Yes. Did I enjoy them or like love them as much as when I was a kid? No. Yeah. I found them a little bit boring, but I loved them when I was a kid. So I do think that there probably are child readers that would like really love a fable like this, because fables really are intended for kids. I do think it was too long and probably there are not many.
Yeah, I think the age range of kids that would like this are going to be put off by the length of the book. And not to say like that kids this age don't like long books. I mean, look at Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Right.
Like kids like a long book, but there's action and there's like that page turning in it, right? Whereas keeping a kid's attention through a longer book that is slower paced, I think is more difficult. Not to say it doesn't happen. Obviously it happens, but I just think it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
I could see this one being a good read aloud though, and having like one that you also then have discussions about as you're going through, like in the classroom or something even. It would take a long time to finish it, but I do think it lends itself well to a lot of discussion and even imagination. Like what would it be like to be able to communicate with birds? Like what kinds of things would they talk, like from like the silly fun side of things to then also obviously the important messages of for others and the power of story, and like what's a book that was important to you that helped change your thinking about something, like even have kids start thinking about that taught you something new or whatever. I think it does lend itself well to really good conversations, and there are enough like fun, like the blind dog, and like there are some things in there that I do, and I did find a couple parts early on that I was like, this is great, just kind of silly, but not as fun as a swamp monster. But
Glurk, just no one lived up to Glurk.
No.
Or the little dragon. Why can't I remember his Tyrion?
Yes, I laughed out loud so hard here. It was such a kid reaction when Anthea was like, I question your logic. And Bartleby was like, I question your face.
I've totally said that to my kid before.
Yeah.
Your face is dumb.
Yeah, I love it.
I don't call my kids dumb.
No.
Like, don't come for me.
I also
only once or twice.
Up increased speed.
I could not get done. It was too long. Like just full stop.
Yeah. The example lived by the orphans. They helped each other. They worked together. They protected the little ones. I loved when they all snuck out to go to see the orphan.
Yeah.
And all like,
and they even took the wearing the babies and
and the one whose name was H, who had a physical disability, and he had to walk with a crutch or something, is the one that like had the rope and helped everyone get over the wall. I just thought there was so much lovely about that.
Yep.
Yes, Matron and Myron were wonderful. And I could just picture them sleeping by the door of the orphanage, so nobody, because they knew the kids were up to it. Slept by the door so that the kids wouldn't get out. I just loved it. They were just such a lovely couple. I just loved it.
I love a good older couple in books.
Yeah. And they were both so loving, and they loved each other so much. Like,
yeah, there could have been a little more drama. But, I mean, when you read it out loud, you can add that drama. I mean, I listened to the audio, and I thought it was great. I loved at the end, too, the cats and the mayor. How the cats were just kind of stalking his house and waiting because they knew. Because the more the dragon wears the suit, the less dragon they become. Like, the less powers that they have, the weaker that they are. And the cats knew it was only a matter of time. And cats and dragons don't get along. And so they were just always outside of his house waiting for that moment. I love it. And I loved that they and the crows, like, stripped him of the suit eventually. And he was so little, had nothing left. But how does that represent your soul, right? When you're so greedy and so focused on
it just tears you down.
So then your soul becomes so small. I love that nobody spoke cats, but cats spoke all languages. Of course the cats would. That's funny. I love it. Well, we are nearing the end of an hour, so I feel like we've pretty well chatted about this book and had mixed feelings, and that's okay. I kind of love that.
Yeah. I was expecting it with this one.
Yeah, but I think that, I mean, that's going to be true with any book. Every book has its readers. And there was definitely nothing like all good or all bad about it. Even though I loved it, I still had parts that I was like, okay, could have done without that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Same. Overall, loved the book, but it wasn't my fave. It wasn't a new favorite, but I loved it.
Yeah. Still. Oh, and the skin being left is a great metaphor for greed too. You can't take it all with you anywhere. So
yeah,
I just gotta leave.
Ain't that the truth?
That is so true.
Love it. All right. Well, next month, June, we will be reading. I should have brought it over. Oh,
I know. I was just gonna see if I knew where mine was at.
Oh, yeah, I have it right here.
I'm really excited. I'm really excited to read The Parker Inheritance.
Oh no,
here, I got it.
I have it too. Next month we will be reading The Parker Inheritance. We're changing gears to a historical mystery.
So excited for it.
And it's going to be
It's going to be so good.
We're going to think they're all going to be good. So hopefully they all will be good. Yeah, we're really excited. So hopefully you guys will pick up The Parker Inheritance with us and join us for June. We will probably mid-month at some point, possibly on a Wednesday, since that's our deal. We'll hopefully have some reading sprints in the middle of the month. We haven't talked about that yet, so nothing is set in stone. So just keep your eyes peeled for potential reading sprints in the middle of the month. If you want to join in, you don't have to be reading Parker Inheritance. You can join for anything. But yeah, that is it.
Yay!
Yeah, so thank you guys all for joining us for our first
inaugural
non-March
extravaganza
read. Inaugural book. And we just think it's fun that we read a Kelly Barnhill as our first group read, and now a Kelly Barnhill for our first book club read. So
feels very fitting.
Full circle. One book down, 8 to go. We have 8 more coming your way in the next 8 months. Thanks for sharing your thoughts and hanging out with us. And we will
thanks guys.
We'll be talking with you soon. Where did my voice just go? Really high.
Woo!
All right, bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Da, 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 da.